अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स, उम्मीद है आप खैरियत से होंगे। आज हम अपना तीसरा लेक्चर स्टडी करेंगे और आपको पता है कि आजकल हम क्या पढ़ रहे हैं। वी आर स्टडीइंग हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड ऑफ काउंसलिंग प्रोफेशन। पिछली दफा हमने क्या मुताला किया, इसका पहले जिक्र करते हैं और उसके बाद आगे चलेंगे। इन द प्रीवियस लेक्चर वी स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग अबाउट इन रेफरेंस टू हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड ऑफ काउंसलिंग द प्रिमिटिव टाइम्स। तो हमने सबसे पहले अपने लेक्चर का आगाज इस चीज से किया कि पुराने जमाने में काउंसलिंग जो थी वो किस तरह से लोग किया करते थे और क्या काउंसलिंग एक प्रोफेशन के तौर पर मौजूद थी या नहीं। One important thing to understand in this reference is that for a considerable period of time, counseling remained a part of guidance. और उसके बाद कुछ अरसे के बाद हम ये देखते हैं कि counseling started emerging as a separate area and a separate discipline. So I was talking about primitive times. At that time, there was no concept of counseling, or also, if we could say that guidance was also not referred to any point. The reason was, at that time, perhaps people did not have many complications in their life. तो जब इंसान की जिंदगी में complications होती हैं, तो तभी इंसान को जरूरत होती है कोई उसकी रहनुमाई करे. People did not have many choices that what profession they shall be adopted. Usually professions were determined and they were limited by one particular gender or your social class. जिस तरह के आप social class से या gender से belong करते थे, आप वैसा ही profession इख्तियार करेंगे. Moreover, it was limited by age also. Then gradually it happened that it came as a kind of specialization. जिस तरह से आजकल हम देखते हैं कि specialized professions होते हैं. But what happened at that time that professions were transferred from one generation to another. और उस तरह से जैसे बाप जो है वो बच्चे को अपना प्रोफेशन जो है वो मुंतकिल करता है. So at that time people did not have to decide that what profession they shall be adopted. So perhaps that is why at that time no need was felt for guidance or counseling. उसके बाद जब हमें पहली इस तरह की कोई बात नजर आती है जो आजकल की मॉडर्न डे गाइडेंस और काउंसलिंग से रिलेटेड है, दैट वाज इन द ग्रीशियन टाइम. ग्रीक पीरियड में हम ये देखते हैं देयर वर some philosophers who contributed to the development of modern day counseling. और उन्होंने ऐसे कुछ concepts दिए थे which are more or less related what we study in reference to counseling psychology today. उस सिलसिले में हमने कुछ philosophers का जिक्र किया. For example, Plato, Aristotle and Hippocrates. Hippocrates was the person who actually gave an idea which is similar to the biological model of today. और उसके बाद हम ये देखते हैं कि फिर हमने कुछ और एजेस को डिस्क्राइब किया था. हम बहुत ज्यादा हर दौर की बात नहीं कर रहे थे, लेकिन हमने कुछ एरियाज जो थे वो स्किप करके कुछ अदवार की बात की थी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वी टॉक्ड अबाउट मिडल एजेस एंड वी डिस्कस्ड दैट मिडल एजेस वाज द टाइम where there was not enough development in science and literature in Europe. As compared to that, that was the time when Muslim philosophers flourished and they gave a number of concepts which are related with modern day counseling. और उस जमाने के जो philosophers थे हमने उनके बारे में discussion की and we found out that they believed in the development of a whole man, or they also believed that knowledge is cure and ignorance is disease. और उसके अलावा हमने ये भी देखा कि they would be telling people that if they would find out what is their relationship with God and they redefine their relation with God and society, then they will be having better well-being and health. Then we discussed 20th century. ये सबसे पहले जो concepts थे, they belong to before 20th century. And then in reference to 20th century, I told you that we will be talking about 20th century and later developments in terms of 4 developments. One is mental health movement, the other is standardized testing, and then another point was vocational guidance movement. Or finally, we will be discussing about licensure and legislation of counseling profession. सबसे पहले हमने वोकेशनल गाइडेंस की बात शुरू की एंड आई आल्सो टोल्ड यू इन द प्रीवियस लेक्चर कि अब हम इन्हीं 4 कॉन्सेप्ट्स को लेके आगे तो चलेंगे, लेकिन हम डिकेड बाय डिकेड स्टडी करेंगे, यानी कि 10 इयर्स के टाइम पीरियड में काउंसलिंग के प्रोफेशन में क्या डेवलपमेंट होती है. As far as vocational guidance movement is concerned, I talked about two people. One is Jessie B. Davis, and then I talked about Frank Parsons, who is also considered the father of counseling or father of guidance movement. As far as Jessie B. Davis was concerned, he said that students shall be given attention in that sense that it is essential that in school guidance is provided, और guidance का जो एक lecture है वो हफ्ते में students को देना चाहिए और इस चीज की कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि उनकी moral development possible हो and they could be able to develop as a good human being. उसके बाद फ्रैंक पार्सन्स की बात की थी and as I mentioned before कि फ्रैंक पार्सन is considered the father of guidance movement. He wrote one book which is still considered very authentic, and that was published after 1 year of his death. That book's name was Choosing a Vocation. In that book, he has described that there are certain conditions that must be fulfilled if we want to provide guidance to a person. One thing is that the investigation of the person shall be conducted. और उसके interests, aptitude और उसकी capabilities के बारे में अच्छी तरह से हमें जान लेना चाहिए. And then he also said that it is important that counselor is very much aware that what is the scope of different professions, what are the requirements of different professions. एक स्टूडेंट जो है वो अगर किसी के पास गाइडेंस के लिए जाता है और वो जो गाइडेंस प्रोवाइड करने वाला है, दैट पर्सन शुड नो दैट व्हाट इज द डिमांड ऑफ पर्टिकुलर प्रोफेशन इन इंडस्ट्री एंड देन देयर शैल बी अ मैच बिटवीन द पर्सन एंड प्रोफेशन. फ्रैंक पार्सन्स पर हमने बात खत्म की थी पिछले लेक्चर में, आज उसी से कंटिन्यू करते हैं. I would like to mention a few more concepts of him. एक और इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज जो पिछले लेक्चर में मैंने आपको बताई थी, that he established a vocational bureau in Boston in USA. और he wouldn't have at that time envisioned the growth of the training people that this bureau would lead to. उस जमाने में उसने he trained a couple of dozen people for guidance, for providing guidance to students and teachers. लेकिन अगर हम उसके बाद की फिगर्स देखें तो 1994 की फिगर्स ये बताती हैं कि 115,000 people were trained through this vocational bureau. तो इस तरह से हम देखते हैं किस तरह एक शख्स जो है वो एक काम का आगाज करता है और उस सिलसिले में कितनी ज्यादा ग्रोथ जो है वो बाद में पॉसिबल होती है विद इन द सेम प्रोफेशन. So I was saying that I would like to discuss a few more concepts of Frank Parsons because he is the very important person as far as guidance movement is concerned. He believed that the vocational counselor should have following traits. कौन-कौन से traits हैं? Let's see that. One is that a practical working knowledge of psychology. So it is very important कि उसको एक प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज हो फॉर साइकोलॉजी की, और साइकोलॉजी की नॉलेज क्या है अबाउट ह्यूमन बीइंग, दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग. एंड सेकेंडली ही शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ ऑल द इम्पॉर्टेंट थ्योरीज दैट आर रेलेवेंट टू ह्यूमन बिहेवियर, क्योंकि अगर वो उनको जानेगा तो फिर आगे से ह्यूमन बिहेवियर के बारे में वो बात करने के काबिल होगा. सेकेंड थिंग इज दैट द पर्सन शुड हैव एन एक्सपीरियंस इन्वॉल्विंग सफिशिएंट ह्यूमन कॉन्टैक्ट. ही शुड हैव अ सफिशिएंट ह्यूमन कॉन्टैक्ट. It means that he should have some experience of dealing with people. और अगर वो ये experience नहीं होता उसके पास तो how he will be able to know about the nature of human beings, how he will be able to give advice and guidance to his students and teachers. और जब हम कहते हैं human nature से आगाही तो ये पहले point के साथ भी इसका ताल्लुक है कि उसको psychology के discipline की knowledge हो. He should be able to understand what are motives of people when they are doing one particular act and what are their value systems and how they respond to their social environment accordingly. The third thing is that the counselor should have an ability to deal with young people. एक important चीज जो मैंने आपको पहले लेक्चर में वो बताई थी वो ये थी कि counseling basically is dealing with the developmental stucks in one's life. कौन-कौन से developmental periods हैं जहां पर human beings जो हैं they get stuck. And it is important that the counselor or the person who is providing guidance should be able to deal with all those conflicts that could arise because of those development restraints. तो काउंसलिंग जो प्रोफेशन है, जैसे कि पहले बात हुई है कि ये गाइडेंस मूवमेंट से उभरा था, तो गाइडेंस जो है वो यंग लोगों को सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत होती है, इन दैट सेंस दैट दे हैव टू सेलेक्ट के कौन से सब्जेक्ट्स उनको पढ़ने चाहिए, फिर उसके मुताबिक जो है अपने एप्टीट्यूड के मुताबिक कौन सा प्रोफेशन जो है वो अडॉप्ट करना चाहिए. सो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट द पर्सन हु इज प्रोवाइडिंग गाइडेंस टू समबॉडी शुड बी एबल टू डील विद यंग पीपल. कौन कौन से क्राइसिस उनको फील होते हैं, एंड पर्टिकुलरली टू नो अबाउट that what kind of stresses people would be feeling at particular stages of their life. एक और इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट जो काउंसलर के ट्रेट से ताल्लुक रखता है वो ये है कि द काउंसलर शुड हैव अ नॉलेज ऑफ रिक्वायरमेंट्स एंड कंडीशंस ऑफ सक्सेस. सो दीज आर द कंडीशंस ऑफ जॉब, कि किसी जॉब में कामयाब होने के लिए कौन कौन सी कंडीशंस की जरूरत है, कितनी नॉलेज होनी चाहिए किसी खास प्रोफेशन के बारे में, ताकि उसमें इंसान काम स्टार्ट कर सके. Another important trait of the counselor is that the counselor should have information about courses and means of preparation. कौन कौन से कोर्स जो है वो स्टूडेंट्स को ऑफर किए जा सकते हैं, कौन कौन से सब्जेक्ट्स का उनको नॉलेज होना चाहिए. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर वो इंजीनियर बनना चाहते हैं, अगर वो कारपेंटर बनना चाहते हैं तो तब भी उसके लिए भी स्किल्स कौन कौन सी चाहिए. अगर वो कोई म्यूजिक का प्रोफेशन अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं तो तब उनमें कौन कौन सी चीजें जो हैं वो उनमें होनी चाहिए. एक तो बात इंसान के फंडामेंटल एप्टीट्यूड की होती है, लेकिन उसके अलावा ये भी होता है कि फिर उस एप्टीट्यूड जो है उसको कैसे पॉलिश किया जाए, कौन कौन से कोर्सेज उसको पढ़ाए जाएं. अनदर इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट द काउंसलर शुड हैव अ नॉलेज अबाउट साइंटिफिक मेथड एनालिसिस. यानी ये सारी चीजें जो अब तक हमने पढ़ी हैं उसमें उसको ये कैपेबिलिटी होनी चाहिए कि वो इन सब का रिलेशनशिप एक देख सके और वो एनालिसिस कर सके कि व्हाट इज द प्रोफेशन, व्हाट इज द कैपेबिलिटी ऑफ द पर्सन एंड हाउ दे आर इंटीग्रेटेड. सो काउंसलर शुड बी एबल टू नो अबाउट द फैक्ट्स, एंड आफ्टर नोइंग द फैक्ट्स ही शुड बी एबल टू डिटरमिन कि इन फैक्ट के साथ जो स्टूडेंट है या द पर्सन हु हैज कम फॉर गाइडेंस उसको किस तरह से उसकी रहनुमाई करनी चाहिए. नाउ आई विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट अनदर मूवमेंट जिसका मैंने पिछले लेक्चर में जिक्र किया था, एंड दैट इज मेंटल हेल्थ मूवमेंट. एंड द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पर्सन इन दिस मूवमेंट इज क्लिफर्ड बेयर्स. जिस तरह से हमने ये देखा कि फ्रैंक पार्सन was the person who was most important in vocational guidance movement. Similarly, we could see here that Clifford Beers was the person who is very important as far as this particular movement is concerned. Clifford Beers was not a counselor. He was not a teacher. In fact, he was a patient, and he was a patient of schizophrenia. आपको शायद पता हो कि schizophrenia क्या है. Schizophrenia is a severe mental disorder जिसमें the person doesn't have a contact with reality, and that is characterized by different delusions, hallucinations, and different withdrawal symptoms. He was a schizophrenic patient, and he stayed in hospital inpatient unit for quite a long time. And there he observed the treatment that was going on with the mental patients. और अब वो चूंकि वो इतना अरसा वहां पे रहा और उसने कंडीशन देखी मेंटल हॉस्पिटल्स में पेशेंट्स की, तो जब वो बाहर निकला तो ही हैज लर्नड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स एंड ही वांटेड टू मेक अ चेंज इन द कंडीशंस ऑफ दोज पेशेंट्स हु आर एडमिटेड इन हॉस्पिटल्स. ही रोट अ बुक एंड द टाइटल ऑफ दैट बुक इज अ माइंड दैट फाउंड इटसेल्फ. ही रोट दैट बुक इन 1908 and that made a profound impression on an awakening society and on the counseling movement. In that book, he mentioned that those patients who are either weak or violent, they are the most one who are abused. अब abuse किस तरह से होते हैं कि he noted that that patient who is violent, he would be perhaps assaulted for the first day when he would be admitted in the hospital. और उसकी वजह क्या थी कि जो violent patients थे, they will be having a different kind of behavior जिसको जो वहां पे अटेंडेंट थे they would not tolerate. For example, they would be noisy, they will be troublemakers and so on. And then he also noted that another category of patients who were abused and assaulted by the administration were those patients who were helpless and who were weak. तो ये दो किस्म के पेशेंट्स उसने नोट किए कि ये इनके साथ बैड ट्रीटमेंट की जाती है. And he said that the only patients who would not have these problems were those who actually required little care from these hospitals. उनको जरूरत ही नहीं थी हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट होने की. तो ये सारी कंडीशंस उसने देखी कि हॉस्पिटल्स में क्या ट्रीटमेंट है पेशेंट्स के साथ, and that was the motivation behind writing of his book. According to his description, he spent 798 days of depression in those inpatient units. And he said that this procedure seemed to be a part of established code of dishonor, the dishonor that was given to the mental patients. Then with the help of a few psychologists of that time, such as William James and Adolf Meyer, the mental health and mental hygiene movement was launched to educate the general people. And the most important person in that mental hygiene person was, of course, Clifford Beers. And in 1909, he supplied the leadership for National Committee for Mental Hygiene. If you want to see the influence of mental hygiene movement, then it was profound in that sense that it opened a door for creating different legislative acts, जो के बाद में कवानीन जो बनते हैं mental patients के लिए उनका हिस्सा बने, and that also opened a door for a different kind of treatment for mentally ill patients. At that time also it aroused people to humanitarian movement. उससे पहले हम ये देखते हैं कि लोगों को शायद आम लोगों को अंदाजा ही नहीं कि इन पेशेंट यूनिट्स में या मेंटल हॉस्पिटल्स में पेशेंट्स के साथ क्या सलूक किया जाता है. So from that book, a lot of awareness was created among the masses. So that viewpoint that individuals are products of both their environment and heredity, that gave rise to new type of institutions called psychopathic hospitals. अब psychopathic hospitals जो थे वो इस movement, mental hygiene movement के नतीजे में establish हुए. और जब लोगों को इस चीज का एहसास हुआ कि आपकी जो environment है वो भी एक बहुत dominant role play करती है, the kind of behavior people are demonstrating and the kind of behavior people were demonstrating in those mental hospitals. These psychopathic hospitals, जो नाम से तो psychopathic hospital जो है वो कोई अच्छा नाम नहीं लगता और ये भी नहीं लगता कि वहाँ कोई पेशेंट्स के साथ अच्छी ट्रीटमेंट होगी, but they were different from the previous custodial care in that sense कि they were outpatient, people could come there and get treatment, and moreover they were established in community. और कम्युनिटी में जब जो सेंटर्स कायम किए जाते हैं उनके बारे में स्टिग्मा कम होता है, because a lot of stigma is attached with those mental hospitals के इसमें पागल किस्म के जो आम जिंदगी में हम एक लफ्ज इस्तेमाल करते हैं कि पागल लोग रहते हैं. But when those centers were established in community, then the concept of people changed toward them. So psychopathic hospitals actually were forerunners to the modern day community centers. As far as early leaders are concerned, there are 3 leaders in this decade also, which provided a momentum for the development of modern day counseling profession. The names of these are Anna Reid, Ellie Weaver, and Davis S. Hill. Anna Reid developed guidance programs to judge a person's worth by his or her employability. As compared to the modern day concept, she gave more importance for the needs of business as compared to the needs of individual. So उसके ख्याल में जो गाइडेंस जो है वो बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है, लेकिन गाइडेंस इसलिए देनी चाहिए ताकि बिजनेस जो है उसकी नीड्स को फुलफिल किया जा सके. इसके बरक्स जो मॉडर्न डे कॉन्सेप्ट है वो ये है कि द नीड्स ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स आर मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. देन वी सी अनदर पर्सन दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट इन दैट डिकेड, especially in the development of school counseling. He was Ellie Weaver. He established teacher guidance committees in every high school in New York to help youth discover the capabilities for the most appropriate employment. So basically he established those centers who will be dealing with the youth problem and finding out the most appropriate employment for them. एक चीज आप नोट करेंगे कि जब हम किसी भी डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं तो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट centers were established in Boston, centers was established in New York, and so on. The reason is that, as in the beginning I mentioned, that counseling could be considered basically an American phenomena in that sense that most of the development in counseling profession happened in America. Or in that way we can say that the development in counseling far exceeds in America than in any other country. The third person that is important in school counseling development is Davis S. Hill. He advocated and worked for a diversified curriculum complemented by vocational guidance. So he said that we should have a diversified curriculum जिसमें बहुत मुख्तलिफ किस्म के subjects पढ़ाने चाहिए so that an individual would be able to discover that what are his potential, what are his particular aptitudes. The third movement that is important in the development of counseling profession is psychological testing. और हम ये देखते हैं कि psychological testing जो है उसका आगाज World War I से पहले होता है. And prior to World War I, human assessments made on the basis of individual differences on a variety of tasks. और हम ये देखते हैं कि psychological testing started with assessment of mental capabilities of human beings and also different capabilities of people on a variety of tasks. And that was the time which could be considered in the decade of 1910s. 1910 से लेकर 1920 तक जो progress हमें psychological testing में नजर आ रही है, वो we are going to discuss that now. As I mentioned before, that psychological testing entered in the profession of counseling psychology during that particular decade. But at that time, psychological testing was done in a different way as compared to what we are doing today. At that time, mental capabilities and IQ basically was assessed by the performance of people on a variety of tasks. For example, you may have heard about Galton's imagery test. Galton क्या करता था कि लोगों को कहता था कि आप imagine करें कि what, for example, you have eaten in the breakfast in the morning, table को visualize करें और उसकी बेस पर whatever the strength of imagination of a particular person was, you would identify the capabilities of that person. Similarly, एक शख्स जो है वो अगर ये सोचे कि वो कितना वेट उठा सकता है, उसके बाजू में जो है वो क्या टेंशन पैदा होती है, so he would be talking about mental capabilities in terms of sensory motor capabilities of a person. And at that time there was no concept of intelligence और उसके जो intelligence को assess करने का तरीका था वो भी sensory motor capabilities थी. But after that we saw that there was a great improvement and development in psychological testing. Actually that work was done by Binet. Alfred Binet is the person who is behind all that revolutionary development behind psychological testing. French government actually noticed in the beginning of that decade that a lot of French children were failing the examination. और उन्होंने फिर एक कमेटी कायम की जिसका हेड एल्फ्रेड बीने था ये देखने के लिए कि why this is happening. Alfred Binet started working on this project with his colleagues and he made intelligence scales to measure intellectual capacity of a person. And he also suggested that many people are failing the exams. The reason is they are not capable to pursue the class that they are currently studying in. और उसकी वजह ये भी थी कि जो children हैं they are all be placed in one particular class जबकि उनकी जो mental age है वो उसकी अहलियत नहीं रखती. So he was talking about chronological age और mental age. आपने शायद इसका तस्करा पहले सुना हुआ हो. He devised a test in 1905 to measure the mental capabilities of school children. और उसके बाद हम ये देखते हैं कि lot of revisions occurred in that particular test. और the last revision was in 1916 at the University of Stanford in USA. And that was called Stanford-Binet scale. In American revision से जो ये psychological test Binet ने बनाए थे, they became very popular in America. And actually, they were devised at the first place, as I mentioned before, in France. And then group tests were developed. ये जो पहले टेस्ट थे Stanford Binet जो टेस्ट अभी मैंने जिक्र किया 1916 में बना था, that was individual test, face to face, जिसमें एक individual जो है आप उसकी intelligence जो है वो assess करते हैं through different questions, through different sub-tests. लेकिन then it was realized that in World War, it was realized that there is a great need to assess people. और उनकी ज़रूरत इसलिए थी कि they wanted to know that what are the mental capacities of people? Are they capable to face the Holocaust, the tortures of war? क्या वो इतने mentally stable हैं कि वो इतनी stressful जो life में उनकी war में conditions होती हैं उसको वो face कर सकें? तो उसके लिए ये ज़रूरी था कि the people's intelligence and their mental strengths and other personality traits are measured. And in that reference, it was realized that group test shall be devised. और ग्रुप टेस्ट करने का पर्पस ये था कि अगर आप एक इंडिविजुअल को असेस करते हैं, इट्स गोइंग टू टेक like for example 1 hour or so. So people at that time, especially those people who were trained to conduct those tests, they were not many. So that would require a lot of time with individual administration. That is why there was a need that was felt for group tests. So there were 2 group tests that were established at that time. They were Army Alpha and Army Beta. Army Alpha was basically for those people who were illiterate, and Army Beta was for those people who could read and write. So these tests became very important, and lot of people who were participating in war and who were coming from war, they were assessed by using these particular tests. Robert Yerkes is an important person who was American Association's president, American Psychological Association president at that time. He headed a committee of psychologists to develop IQ and other measures. So हम ये देखते हैं कि उस दौर में फिर बहुत सारी तरक्की और भी होती है. Apart from Stanford Binet, other tests were also created. And in 1915, the publication of first guidance journal that was called Vocational Guidance, that is a very important development in the profession of counseling psychology. Now I'll be talking about the next decade, from 1920 to 1930. That particular decade is related again with vocational guidance. And education course for counselors exclusively emphasized vocational guidance courses. And it was emphasized that it is important that those children who are studying in schools and then in colleges, they should be provided guidance that what subjects they shall be studying in reference to their particular aptitudes. And then we saw that in New York, certification of counselors was initiated, that it was felt that those people who are calling themselves counselor or who are calling themselves those experts who could provide guidance to people, what is the criteria of their evaluation? What is the criteria of their education? So certification, the idea of certification was initiated at that time, and it is a very important concept in that sense that if a profession is developing, that it is important to know that what that person should have as far as his capabilities are concerned. उसने क्या एजुकेशन उसकी होनी चाहिए, उसने कौन से कोर्सेज स्टडी किए जाने चाहिए ताकि वो लोगों को गाइड कर सके. So this is very important for the later legislation and licensure of counselors that we will be studying as in the modern times. इस जमाने में हमें और भी टेस्टिंग डेवलपमेंट नजर आती है. One of them is a very important inventory that is for measurement of interests. So that is called Strong Vocational Interest Inventory, that was established and that was created in 1928. In 1921, Kettle founded Psychological Corporation to sell tests. अब ये जो Psychological Corporation tests बेचने के लिए इनफैक्ट बनाई गई थी, that is a very important, you could say, a revolution in the historical background of counseling and guidance profession. In that sense, that a lot of tests were created there, and then people realized that if they want to measure one particular capability of a person, that they could buy tests from there. So it became a proper center from where people could buy tests, and they could also get advice कि कौन-कौन से टेस्ट जो हैं वो किस मकासद के लिए इस्तेमाल होने चाहिए. Then a first center of marriage and family counseling was created by Abraham and Hannah in 1929, and that marked the beginning of the subspecialty of counseling. So at that time, it was also realized that there are certain populations which require perhaps greater attention. इससे पहले क्या था कि सिर्फ हम ये देखते हैं कि स्कूल्स में गाइडेंस जो है वो प्रोवाइड की जा रही है, और ये समझा जाता था कि या तो स्कूल्स में स्टूडेंट्स को गाइडेंस की जरूरत है फॉर सब्जेक्ट एंड वोकेशनल सिलेक्शन, या फिर टीचर्स को गाइडेंस प्रोवाइड की जाती थी कि हाउ टू डील विद देयर स्टूडेंट्स. अब हम ये देखते हैं कि ये भी रियलाइज किया जाने लगा 1920s में कि देयर आर सम अदर फील्ड्स ऑफ लाइफ which also require guidance and help, and that is why this center was established, and it created one subspecialty of counseling. अगर हम अब देखें तो हमें ये नजर आता है कि काउंसलिंग की बहुत सारी subspecialties हैं. For example, people who are working to rehabilitate, who are having mothers, who are disabled. Similarly, people are working with families, people are working with groups, और इसके अलावा जो है वो बैंक्स में काम कर रहे हैं टू डील with the stress that a person would be facing in their everyday life and in their job. So that was the beginning of subspecialty of counseling profession. In that period, another movement is very important, and that is child guidance movement. जब psychopathic hospitals create हुए थे तो उस वक्त ये फील किया गया कि अगर बच्चों को शुरू से रहनुमाई दी जाए तो we may be able to prevent psychological problems. So that promoted the idea of special centers for children. So the main person who is involved in those child guidance movement are a few people, but I would like to mention the work of that person who is the most important person, and that is G. Stanley Hall. G. Stanley Hall was the most important person who talked about child study movement, and child study movement was fourfold according to his opinion. यानी चाइल्ड स्टडी मूवमेंट जो है वो किन खतूत पर खास तौर पर गौर करती है या किन खतूत पर अमल करती है वो अब हम देखते हैं. One is that individual should be the focal point of study. It means that आप जिस इंडिविजुअल को स्टडी कर रहे हैं you have to concentrate on that person fully. So that person should be the focal point, and in this case it is a child. The second thing is that we should realize the importance of the formative years when the child is growing, because that is the time when child is learning and child is influenced first by parents and then by teachers and other significant others. So it is very important that these formative years shall be given attention, क्योंकि ये formative years जो हैं वो time होता है when the child is understanding the world, when the child is developing different social concepts, when the child is developing psychological concepts also. Then the third important thing is the need for reliable factual knowledge about children shall be given importance. That whatever you want to know about children, it should be reliable, it should be factual. So the method of study should be scientific. And the fourth thing was that we should be using more accurate methods of child study. फिर आप एक child जो है उसका मुताला कैसे करेंगे? You will be observing the child, you will be getting case history of the child, you will be using some other techniques to study child. So all these 4 points were given importance if you want to work with a child and you want to know more about a child and you want to provide guidance. Now the next decade is 1930s. In 1930s, we saw that one particular theory became very popular, and that theory was presented by Williamson et al. He actually is the person who highlighted the development of first counseling theory. That counseling theory is different from Carl Rogers theory, जो कि आजकल हम समझते हैं कि counseling profession की बुनियाद है. But that was different from Rogers theory, और Rogers की theory का इसके बाद जिक्र करेंगे. But maybe you are familiar with Rogers theory because he is a very famous person not only in counseling profession but in psychotherapy and other important concepts of psychology. So he used this theory to work with students and unemployed, and he used empirical methods to study individuals, and he maintained that the therapy should be designed to tailor the needs of a particular client. So it means that the therapy can be different from one client to another. His method of therapy was called directive method, and he believed that it is the counselor who is the most important person in any therapeutic interaction. And that is why he believed that counselor's training should be given more importance. And he talked about different skills that the counselor shall be using, different techniques that the counselor will be employing in that therapeutic session or the treatment of a particular person. So he talked about a trait factor, directive and counselor-centered approach. When we say trait factor, it means that he emphasized the traits of counselor. और वो जो traits हैं, वो एक particular factor के तहत, यानी जैसे कि आप maybe you are familiar कि ये जो factors हैं वो क्या होते हैं. One factor could be a combination of different traits. और एक फैक्टर के अंदर वो ट्रेट होंगे जो एक दूसरे से मिलते जुलते हैं. इसी तरह एक और फैक्टर जो है उसमें और तरह के ट्रेट्स होंगे जिनका आपस में लिंक है. सो ही टॉक्ड अबाउट डिफरेंट factors in relation to traits, and he said that the counselor's traits are important for the therapeutic effect of one particular therapy or counseling session. At that time, which is 1930s, we saw the broadening of counseling profession. So the broadening of counseling beyond occupational concerns. अभी तक हम ये देखते हैं कि ज़्यादातर काउंसलिंग जो है वो स्कूल्स में यूज हो रही है और अभी तक जो है वो काउंसलिंग का लफ्ज एज सच इस्तेमाल नहीं हो रहा था. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट काउंसलिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ गाइडेंस. एट दैट टाइम ऑल वाज गाइडेंस कि गाइडेंस शैल बी प्रोवाइडेड फॉर सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन, गाइडेंस शैल बी प्रोवाइडेड फॉर वोकेशनल सिलेक्शन आल्सो. लेकिन ये एक टाइम है जबकि काउंसलिंग या गाइडेंस आप कह सकते हैं इट वाज स्टार्टेड इन अदर फील्ड्स ऑफ लाइफ आल्सो. John Brewer is the person who emphasized this change and published a book. The title of that book was Education as Guidance. He said that guidance should be included as the main curriculum in the courses that children are studying. And guidance shall be an important part of education. But at the same time, he believed that children should also be taught that how to behave when they go out of the school. तो स्कूल के बाहर भी एक दुनिया है और उस दुनिया में कैसे एडजस्ट करना है, दैट इज द वर्क ऑफ द टीचर एज द पर्सन हु इज प्रोवाइडिंग गाइडेंस. इस जमाने में हम ये भी देखते हैं कि दैट वाज द टाइम ऑफ वर्ल्ड वॉर वन और उसके जो आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स थे वो हम इस जमाने में देखते हैं. वर्ल्ड वॉर से एक चीज जो पैदा हुई थी वो पहले भी मैंने जिक्र किया कि द नीड फॉर साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्ट्स, बिकॉज those people who took participate in World War, they were affected very badly by the stress that they faced. और बहुत से लोग जो जंग से वापस आए थे उनमें बहुत सारे psychological problems देखने में आते थे. People had become hysterical और hysteria की symptoms जो थी वो उनमें आम देखने में आती थी. For example, जैसे बाज लोगों को फालिज नहीं होता लेकिन उनके बॉडी ऑर्गन्स जो हैं वो काम नहीं कर रहे. So ये जो हिस्टीरिया एक पुरानी टर्म है, अब ये इस्तेमाल नहीं होती. नाउ अ डेज वी कॉल डिसोसिएटिव डिसऑर्डर्स. इसका मतलब क्या है कि आपकी जो रीजन है वो साइकोलॉजिकल है, बट द साइकोलॉजिकल कॉज इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू योर बॉडीली मैनिफेस्टेशन. सो द कॉज इज साइकोलॉजिकल बट इट इज मैनिफेस्टेड इन योर बॉडी. सो सम पीपल हु वर एक्चुअली नॉट ब्लाइंड एंड देयर वाज नथिंग रॉन्ग विद देयर आईज, दे कुडंट सी. और इसी तरह कुछ लोग ऐसे थे जिनके जिस्म में टांगों में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी लेकिन वो चल नहीं सकते थे. सो दैट वाज ड्यू टू द स्ट्रेस दैट दे वर फेसिंग ड्यूरिंग वर्ल्ड वॉर वन. और उसके बाद ये जरूरत बहुत शिद्दत से महसूस की जाने लगी कि फिर इन लोगों को कैसे असेस किया जाए, इनके लिए क्या किया जाए और जो डैमेज इनको हो चुका है उसको कैसे असेस किया जाए. सो दैट वाज द टाइम व्हेन साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्टिंग मूवमेंट फ्लरिश्ड. एंड वी सॉ एट दैट टाइम that World War I resulted in two significant acts. One is Civilian Vocational Rehabilitation Act. As I mentioned before, that people who were going through the Holocaust of war and who returned from war, they were not in a stable mental condition. तो उनकी rehabilitation जो है वो कैसे होनी चाहिए और उसके लिए एक एक्ट बनाया गया. The second thing was the establishment of Veterans Bureau. That those people who were coming from war, उनको कैसे assess किया जाए, उनको कैसे treat किया जाए. At that time, another term became popular and that was the term of rehabilitation counselor, and that appeared in late 1930 because there was a need to rehabilitate those people who participated in war. That is why there was a need for those counselors who could rehabilitate those people who were affected by the Holocaust or who were the main sufferers of that war. Then we saw that by the 1930s, 50 psychological clinics and 12 child guidance clinics were formed. When the need was there and people realized the importance of those people who could render help to those who were affected, then obviously ऐसे centers जो हैं वो कायम किए जाएंगे जिनमें लोगों की treatment की जा सके. In 1939, a very important intelligence test was created, that was Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. इससे पहले हमने स्टैनफोर्ड बीने की बात की थी जो एल्फ्रेड बीने ने बनाया था और उसके बाद उसकी रिवीजन यूएसए में हुई थी 1916. But when in 1939 WAIS, that is Wechsler Adult Intelligence Test, that was created, then it became very, very important. और बल्कि इसने it overshadowed the importance of Stanford Binet. Another development that we saw in that time was the establishment of U.S. Employment Service, which published the first edition of Dictionary of Occupational Titles in 1939, and that was called in abbreviation DOT. That DOT actually was created to tell people, to guide people that what professions they shall be adopted, and mainly that was created for helping unemployed and students. The next decade is 1940s, the time that is between 1940 and 1950. So we saw at that time that by 1940 over 500 tests had appeared. ये psychological testing की जो हम देख रहे हैं development that started in 1910s, that is still going on. और उसकी ज़्यादा वजह ये थी कि वर्ल्ड वॉर में इसकी ज़रूरत शिद्दत से महसूस की जाने लगी थी. सो एट दैट टाइम अब मेंटल जो हेल्थ और मेंटल इलनेस के जो टेस्ट थे उनकी कैटेगराइजेशन के लिए एक बुक भी बनाई गई. दैट वाज अ मेजरमेंट ईयर बुक एंड दैट वाज बेसिकली फॉर कैटलॉगिंग डिफरेंट टेस्ट्स. आपने अब तक नोट किया होगा कि हम एक डेवलपमेंट के बाद दूसरी डेवलपमेंट का जिक्र करते हैं और उसके बाद एक डेट आपको बताई जाती है और उसके बाद एक दूसरी डेट का जिक्र होता है. सो दैट इज व्हाट वी विल बी डूइंग एंड वी हैव टू डू व्हेन वी आर स्टडीइंग हिस्ट्री ऑफ एनी डिसिप्लिन. During 1940, three important events occurred which actually shaped the development of counseling profession. The first was Carl Rogers theory, that is called client-centered theory. The second is World War II, and the third is government's involvement in counseling. और जब हम ये कहते हैं government's involvement, actually it is US government's involvement in counseling profession. Carl Rogers is a very important person as far as development and progression of counseling profession is concerned. Actually हम ये भी कह सकते हैं कि जो counseling profession है उसकी base ही Carl Rogers की theory है. Carl Rogers rose to prominence in 1942 with the publication of two books. One was called Counseling in Psychotherapy and the other is called Client-Centered Therapy. His approach is different from Williamson approach, जिसका पहले जिक्र आ चुका है. Williamson approach was directive, और directive से मुराद ये है कि that centered actually on the work of the counselor. As compared to that, Rogers said that the more important person in counseling profession and counseling relationship is the client. So we can say that more than any other person, Rogers influenced the way American counselor interact with clients. एंड इट इज नॉट अमेरिकन काउंसलर. अब जहां भी काउंसलिंग प्रोफेशन जो है वो यूज होता है और उसकी बात होती है तो फिर क्लाइंट को, अगर इफ यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग क्लाइंट सेंटर्ड थेरेपी तो क्लाइंट इज गिवन मोर इम्पोर्टेंस. सो क्लाइंट सेंटर्ड अप्रोच मेंटेन्ड दैट काउंसलर सर्व एज अ मिरर रिफ्लेक्टिंग द वर्बल एंड इमोशनल मैनिफेस्टेशंस ऑफ द क्लाइंट. अब इस डेफिनेशन में हम ये देख सकते हैं कि जो काउंसलर जो काम कर रहा है एक्चुअली वो वही कुछ कर रहा है वट एवर द क्लाइंट इज डूइंग. So we can say that the counselor is actually providing a mirror for the client, or whatever is the feeling of the client, counselor should be capable to reflect that. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो relationship client और counselor का है वो कितना important है, क्योंकि वो relationship जो है वो इसी चीज पर बेस करता है कि client को counselor कितना understand करता है और जो कुछ उसके mind में है उसको फिर वो कैसे एक empathetic relationship के जरिए reflect करता है. Aubrey noted in 1977 that before Rogers, the literature in counseling was very practical. It was practical in that sense that a lot of emphasis was on psychological testing. And cumulative records in the development of counseling profession in terms of whatever was happening in the session as far as the client was concerned was recorded. यानी एक session में एक client की क्या development है और अगले सेशन में उसमें क्या तरक्की हम देखते हैं. सो क्यूमुलेटिव रिकॉर्ड्स वर क्रिएटेड टू फाइंड आउट दैट एट वन सेशन आपने टेस्ट में इतना स्कोर लिया, अगले टेस्ट में और अगले सेशन में आप क्या स्कोर लेते हैं, और उससे जो क्लाइंट है उसकी डेवलपमेंट का अंदाजा किया जाता था कि क्या उसको थेरेपी का फायदा भी हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा. सो अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क वाज रिलेटेड विद एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्ट्स. लेकिन जब हम रॉजर्स पर आते हैं तो हम ये देखते हैं कि साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्ट जो है उस पर ज्यादा रॉजर्स बिलीव नहीं करता. सो अ न्यू एम्फेसिस ऑन टेक्निक्स ऑफ काउंसलिंग and training of counselor and research was felt. He gave more importance to research, or research जो है that research shall be related with the relationship between client and counselor. तो हम ये देखते हैं कि एकदम से जो है वो एक semantic difference जो है वो create हुआ है. First there was more directive counseling. So now there is a semantic change from directive to non-directive counseling, and it is not the job of the counselor to provide ready-made solutions to the client and to provide solutions and suggestions to the client. In fact, the work of the counselor was just to help in the mental growth of the person, and actually it is the client who will decide himself कि उसके लिए कौन सा रास्ता, कौन सी जो चीज है उसकी जिंदगी में कौन सी इम्पोर्टेंट है, और उसके मुताबिक वो अपनी जिंदगी के फैसले जो है वो खुद ही करने का अहल होगा. So guidance for all intents and purposes suddenly disappeared. We can see that in the beginning there was an overlap in guidance and counseling remained a part of guidance for 50 years. और उस जमाने में कोई काउंसलिंग का वर्ड ज्यादा यूज नहीं होता था. As compared to that, now the word of guidance has become outdated. और अब उसको उतना ही कम इस्तेमाल किया जाता है जितना कि पहले काउंसलिंग का वर्ड जो था वो कम इस्तेमाल किया जाता था. तो ज्यादा चेंज जो है वो किस तरह से हुआ? ज्यादा चेंज जो है वो हम ये देखते हैं कि क्लाइंट सेंटर्ड थेरेपी या क्लाइंट सेंटर्ड अप्रोच विच वाज बेसिकली इनिशिएटेड बाय कार्ल रॉजर्स, इस उसकी वजह से ज्यादा चेंज हमें काउंसलिंग प्रोफेशन में नजर आता है कि जो गाइडेंस वाज स्ट्रिक्टली रिलेटेड विद जस्ट गाइडिंग स्टूडेंट्स and teachers in vocations and subject selection, now it has taken a new dimension. And second thing which I said that is important in that particular decade is World War II and government's involvement. In 1944 alone, over 60 million tests were given to 20 million soldiers and civilians, and Veterans Administration established centers to provide counseling. Veterans Administration was basically, as I mentioned before, created to help those people who had come from war and they need support at that particular time of their life. और उस वक्त उनको टेस्ट दिए जाते थे, फिर उनकी ट्रीटमेंट की जाती थी, उनको मॉरल सपोर्ट भी प्रोवाइड की जाती थी और उनको हॉस्पिटल्स में रखा जाता था. तो ये वो टाइम था when lot of people were coming from war, that the need was realized for those professional helpers who would have gone through a particular kind of training, ताकि उनमें ये कैपेबिलिटी हो कि वो ऐसे लोगों के साथ डील कर सकें. Veterans Administration coined the term counseling psychologist and founded the training of counselors and psychologists. As I said before, that when you realize that there is a need for one particular profession, तो फिर आप उस पर गवर्नमेंट जो है उसकी भी ज्यादा तवज्जो हो जाती है. So government started providing lot of funds for students और स्कॉलरशिप मिले जाने लगे अगर वो काउंसलिंग प्रोफेशन जो है उसको अडॉप्ट करेंगे और उसके लिए स्टडी करेंगे. At that time, about 1,500 psychologists were serving in war. In that sense, that they were providing service to those people who were going in war, who were participating in war, and who had come from war. And we saw a wide development of psychological tests again. You could say that that was the time which is the most important for the development and for the promotion of psychological tests. At that time, we saw that wide range of military-oriented tests, including Army General Classification, that was for groups, was created. And then at that time, we saw also that two important diagnostic tests, एक का नाम है रोशा and the other is TAT. ये TAT abbreviation है Thematic Apperception Test के लिए. इनकी brief measure जो थे वो उस समय में डेवलप हुए हैं और obviously इनकी development जो थी वो पहले हो चुकी थी. So now I'm going to review what we studied today. Today we started talking about guidance movement, vocational guidance movement that was created by Frank Parsons. And Frank Parsons is rightly called the father of guidance movement. Frank Parsons के बारे में हमने पिछले लेक्चर में बात शुरू की थी और आज हमने उसके कुछ और चीजों का जिक्र किया which he pointed out. For example, he said that counselor should exhibit certain kind of traits, और वो traits फैसला करेंगे कि वो जो काउंसलर है वो कितना कामयाब अपने प्रोफेशन में हो सकता है. Then we talked about mental health movement that was initiated by a former patient of schizophrenia whose name was Clifford Beers. He spent a considerable time as inpatient. और वो पेशेंट के तौर पर उसने जो कुछ ऑब्जर्व किया मेंटल हॉस्पिटल्स में, उसने एक किताब में, नाम था माइंड दैट फाउंड इटसेल्फ. इस किताब से जो था वो लोगों को ये पता चला कि एट दैट टाइम व्हाट इज द ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, हॉस्पिटल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन विद मेंटल पेशेंट्स, एंड इट अराउज्ड ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मूवमेंट एट दैट टाइम. And then we talked about different decades. For example, the decade that started with 1910, that was the time when a lot of work started on psychological testing, and different tests were established in this and the following decades. For example, interest inventories were created. Similarly, aptitude tests were created to know the particular abilities of a person. For example, the person could have musical ability, the person could have clerical ability, and so on. At that time, achievement tests were also created, which will be predicting the success of a person in one particular profession. And then we talked about the important theory of Williamson that is rightly called the first counseling theory, and that was in the decades of 1930s. And in 1940s, we saw that there were three events which were very important for the development of counseling as a profession. First was the client-centered theory of Rogers, and that played a dominant role in the development of counseling profession. Rogers, as opposition to Williamson, believed that actually it is not the counselor which is the most important person in counseling relationship. It is the client who shall be given importance, and it is the client who is responsible for getting development or for growth in his life. That is why he said that our concentration shall be on the client, not on the counselor. And then we also talked about the involvement of government during and after World War in the establishment of different bureaus and establishment of different psychological tests for the betterment of human beings. अगले लेक्चर में हम हिस्ट्री ही को स्टडी करेंगे, और मोस्ट प्रोबेबली हम उसमें हिस्ट्री का चैप्टर खत्म कर लेंगे. अगले लेक्चर तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज.